business owner? Entrepreneur? Want to learn how online marketing can improve your business?
Your questions.
Our advice.
This is Not a Real Job.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Not a Real Job, a podcast about digital marketing, social media, internet-related things. I am Chris Van Patten, and I make websites and web apps in New York.
And I'm Joel Kelly, and I do social media, online marketing, etc. Way up in Nova Scotia, Canada.
And can I tell you, Joel,
Mm-hmm.
I have the British fever today. The British invasion is happening to me. I'm very excited.
It sounds serious. What happened? Why?
Well, first, this morning, Manchester City played Chelsea in a football match.
Okay.
And tied it up. But then, about 15 minutes before this podcast started recording, I realized that Downton Abbey is back tonight, and I am beyond excited.
Now, Downton Abbey, is that like Big Brother?
No.
So they all live in a house.
Well, they do all live in a house.
And they have to pretend to be British aristocracy, and
yes,
only one will make it out alive.
You were good up until the last part. Fell off the wagon a little bit there.
So just describe this program to me then.
All right. It is a lot of people in a house.
Mm-hmm. Sounds like Big Brother.
And, yep. They have to pretend to be British aristocracy.
Like Big Brother.
But it's not a survival of the fittest.
I've never
situation.
seen Big Brother either.
Sure. So you're sort of grasping here.
Yeah. I get how people house, and it's inexplicably popular.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's explicably popular.
It's explicable.
Because it's awesome.
Okay.
And I'm so excited. And it's actually on right now as we're speaking. So
It's kind
that
of a
sucks
weird
a little bit.
It's a weird time for a television program to come on.
Well, it's like 9 p.m. over there in the
Oh,
UK.
I see. I see. So
Time
they're going
zones,
with the
right?
whole theme, even though it's obviously created and shot in Los Angeles. They're on British time.
Sure. Yes, exactly.
Hmm.
And you probably, I don't, if you have other news, I don't want to interrupt that, but it's like, we're like 2 weeks out from the Joel Kelly marriage extravaganza.
We are that, sir. Yes. And by the time this airs, it'll be like 1.5 weeks.
Do you know yet what the dowry looks like? Have you gotten any word on that?
It's just a lot of livestock. That's what I've been told. Being vegetarian, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with all the livestock.
You could just give them a happy, healthy life.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of work, though. I'll probably just set them free.
Okay, sure. If you see a wild cow roaming around downtown Halifax, you know who did that.
Yeah, feel free to take it and eat it.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, that's really that. I mean, weddings, though. What a racket. I'm actually probably going to have Fancy Hands do this for me. I will include a link about Fancy Hands in the show notes. I'm not going to describe it all. We've done that so many times before. But what I want to do is set up, it'll start Halifax based, but this can expand. Again, this might already exist, but we're going to call a bunch of flower stores and hair salons and get them to quote the price for a wedding versus the price for, let's say, another extravagant event, and just really quantify the markup.
So this is really just a research project. You're not actually going to purchase from these vendors. Am I understanding that correctly?
Well, we've already purchased from enough vendors.
Sure, that's what I assumed.
And just been, robbed blind. So I'm just curious to know what the markup actually is quantifiably. So stay tuned for that. We'll probably do a big launch. I don't know. Click some AdWords, I guess.
Sure.
Get some rev.
Absolutely. That's what it's all about.
Yeah. So anyway, that's a wedding. Cool. Let's move on to less stressful topics, shall we? What are you drinking today?
I am just drinking water. I know I'm a disappointment, but it's kind of hot in New York today. Like we're in the mid 70s, like pushing upper 70s. So water is kind of the only thing that's getting me through this unexpected heat.
Fair enough. It was shockingly hot up here too. I mean, yesterday it was quite cool. But we're
So you were
looking,
able to take off your scarves and mittens and things like that sort of thing.
That's exactly it. It is currently 21 degrees. That's in Celsius, which is Google 21 degrees Celsius converted to Fahrenheit. That is 69.8.
Okay, so in the same ballpark, definitely.
Very muggy.
Yeah, here as well. Kind
of a bit of a haze, even.
Yeah, it's downright cloudy here, I would say. So, oh well.
Oh, it has begun to rain. Perfect.
Awesome. Just in time.
All right. We have topics. We have questions. First of all, thanks for the question. Shall I just jump in here?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. This is from Nick. I'm starting a side business to help libraries and museums better understand their digital assets and to manage them efficiently. While eventually I'd like to consult for individual institutions as clients, I don't have the reputation or contact list to do this. I'm building course modules with an open source MOOC platform to help create a reputation, but I'm wondering if charging for access to those courses will help or hurt that goal. Also, what would be an effective way to position a MOOC against the webinars offered by the professional organizations in my field? So I had to Google what MOOC was. So that might telegraph a little bit about how helpful I'm going to be with this question. But for anyone else who's curious about that, a MOOC, M-O-O-C, is a massive open online course. So basically, he's just creating course modules on internet for people to take.
Sure. So it's kind of like your Udemy, or I guess even something like an iTunes U, where you can go on and download classes and these similar platforms that have become a thing recently.
Like a distributed Khan Academy.
Yes, exactly.
Well, it sounds fascinating, as do those sirens. Sorry, Steve, you're going to have to leave them in now, because I addressed it.
I was wondering, will he say something? And there it is.
It's so goddamn distracting. Every time I hear a siren, all I can picture is that you're doing this podcast on like a Vespa scooter. And
it might as well be.
And you're getting pulled over.
Yeah. This is a recurring problem, which is another reason I'm so frustrated. It's so hot today, because it's really impacting my life in a lot of ways. But anyway, MOOCs and museums and stuff. So this is a really cool question. This is a really interesting problem. Yeah, so I would say, one, don't worry about the reputation or contact list kind of situation. Like, obviously, you need a contact list to be able to contact these people directly. I get that. But with the reputation, I think, and this is going to sound really idealistic and maybe a little simplistic too, but if your stuff is good, if the stuff that you're putting out is good, you shouldn't have to worry about working toward building a reputation. The reputation should come naturally. So put your focus on what is the best way that I can communicate the wealth of knowledge that I have, that my potential clients will find valuable. So I think it's interesting that you noted that a lot of the professional organizations do webinars, and you sort of are not doing that. You're doing the MOOC system. Maybe it's worth reaching out and finding some contacts in the field through Twitter and Facebook or LinkedIn, and saying and trying to figure out maybe those people are so used to webinars that the MOOC methodology or the MOOC system isn't really going to hold out with them. It's not really going to work. They're sort of used to their old way of doing things. I think, it's certainly changing a lot, but museums tend to be stodgy old organizations, and that's painting with a very broad brush. But you might find that the MOOC is too new, too internet-y for those people. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, totally. Sorry, the audio cut out a bit there, but I think I got most of what you're saying. I would say, to kind of follow up on that, and again, you may have already said this, but yeah, I wouldn't start with the stodgier of the organizations. Definitely, and do some direct marketing too. So if you're going after a library or kind of even a newer institution who might be more on board with this idea, don't be afraid to cold call isn't the word, but find an email address on a website and get your name out there. I mean, you're trying to help people, and just remember that. And, being a little bit assertive in your marketing isn't a bad thing. Like we so often say in the age of social media and internet that, your customers will eventually come to you. And to, of course, a significant extent, that's true. But that doesn't mean that you can't be a little assertive in your marketing and actually go out and find those customers. I mean, I got cold called by a vendor the other day, which, was a little much, but it was a very brief conversation. He essentially said, "Hey, I'm just calling to find out if you're the right person to talk to about the software that, we're just launching. Here's the website. If you don't mind, I'd like to email you some stuff." I said, fine, because he was obviously extremely respectful of my time. It was an incredibly quick conversation. He sent me some stuff, and it looks really interesting. And we're probably going to we're going to demo the software, and it could be something we actually end up purchasing. So if you've got stuff that you're happy with, and you can be helpful, feel free to give people a call, send them an email, and just of course, be respectful of their time. But yeah.
Even Twitter, I actually see a small portion of the museum community. I know some people who are museum educators, and they're super active on Twitter, and there's a hashtag that they all sort of coalesce around. So I would imagine that you can find similar contacts in your specific area of the museum and cultural organization world that you can reach out to on Twitter. That's just an amazing open way to find people. So definitely try that as well.
And colleges and universities have libraries, and they can often be run by people a little more savvy just because of the business they're in, because they're dealing with kind of a younger crowd. So keep that in mind as well.
Yeah. Even think about maybe walking into your local university and going directly to their library, or if they've got, a museum or gallery situation in there, go in there and find a librarian and talk to them. Because I bet they would be really excited to talk about something if you have a specific expertise, and they can help you figure out what the best way to deliver that expertise is, that it's going to be the most valuable to them as well.
I just walk into a class, make an announcement, or better, long con, pretend to be a student there, audit a few classes, get in with like the in circle, become a teacher's pet. Then you'll have the inside track, and then you can just kind of, sell them on this. This is a long-term strategy. We're talking 4 to 5 years.
I think this is the plot of 23 Jump Street.
Yeah,
it's a movie joke.
Okay,
you wouldn't understand.
Okay. Now is that the film where they're all in a house and Johnny Depp is there?
Oh, you're so close, yet not at all.
Okay. So yeah, and again, as far as like pricing, and whether, you have the reputation to charge or not, I mean, look, we charged for our podcast, and you know how well that worked out. But the reason why we didn't get anyone paying for our podcast is because we didn't have the reputation, to kind of garner that. People don't know you have big, interesting trade secrets unless you give a couple of them away for free. You got to let people demo. I mean, who would sign up for software these days without a demo? Lots of people, I guess, but obviously we're all happier to give something a try before we spend money. So make sure you have content out there that people can learn from, and then sign up for. It's the drug dealer model.
An ebook, digital asset, podcast, something,
White papers.
White papers. Everyone loves white papers.
Have you considered just doing a webinar?
Yeah, think about a webinar.
It seems to be working for your competition.
Steal their model.
Exactly.
Never fails.
So hopefully that was useful. As always, follow up if we got this totally wrong or you have yet more lingering questions. Just get in touch. I want to take, because we've got a couple minutes left here, Chris. Can we talk about iOS 8?
We absolutely can. I don't want to turn this into the iOS hours. I think we covered that pretty well last week, but we both have strong opinions. So, Joel, what do you think so far of iOS 8?
Well, okay. So, I mean, I love the upgraded features. Like, finally, and again, this is where the Android nerds are making fun of us Apple users, because we're getting a lot of features that I think have existed for a long time. But being able to respond to texts in the app you're in is such a friggin' like brilliant, like, again, simple, but so useful. Like I have left texts, all day basically, because I'm in an app, I'm doing something, I don't want to switch out, I don't want to have to go back in, and just forgotten about it. So actually being able to address things as they come in is great. Obviously, doing the voice text is kind of cool. I like the favorites list for contacts when you double tap the home. Like, the features are great. For me, it's just been, I've had such a bad experience with so many apps not working. My forecast app still doesn't have an icon. Like, just stuff like that. Like, apps crashing all the time. I've had to delete and re-download a few apps like Netflix just to get them to work again. Cortex Cam, which I love, just doesn't open. And I get, okay, it's not iOS 8's problem. It's the app. But as I was saying on Twitter to, was it Joel Sharpton, the Rogue's Life? My experience with the OS is through the apps. So they're not separable for me. So that's just been my experience, has been bad, especially since from the 6 to 7 update, which aesthetically at least was a much bigger update, I had far fewer problems. So this one, I know there was a larger internal update is my impression from 7 to 8, but I'm just kind of surprised at how difficult it's been.
Huh. That's interesting, because I have had pretty much the opposite experience in that sense, in that none of my apps have had problems. And in fact, I've noticed a few of them seem to be a little bit faster.
What phone do you have again?
I am rocking a 4S. Yeah.
I wonder if there's a connection there. Yeah, I don't know.
It's possible. I mean, I don't use too many apps. I know you're a bit of an appaholic.
Oh my God. Yeah, I am.
I stick to sort of a few core apps. But even so, it's been a really smooth experience. Really, the only thing that has given me trouble is the Swift keyboard. But I'm blaming that less on this being an iOS 8 situation and more that this is their first release of this app. So
yeah, that keyboard straight up doesn't work for me.
It like works for me, but then it forgets that I had it active and I have to go back in and flip it on. So I'm blaming that less on iOS 8 and more on its version 1 of a brand new app for a brand new API in the operating system. But other than that, everything's been really smooth, and I've even my phone in general seems a lot faster, which is interesting.
Yeah, I mean that's fantastic. That's interesting. The keyboard thing, I'm definitely giving a pass for now. I've had a lot of keyboard issues, but I don't even, those aren't even a concern because Apple hasn't done this before. There's these keyboard developers haven't built for iOS yet, so there's issues like that one where it just forgets that I have a keyboard on. And then, I'm back to the default one.
Yeah.
So stuff like that is a pain. Or in Instagram, custom keyboards are just breaking for me in general. I have to switch back to the normal one. But that'll be fixed pretty soon, I'm sure.
Yeah. I'm using SwiftKey at the moment because I used to use it on Android, but it has been sort of a situation where I just keep going back to the default, and for the moment, that'll have to be good enough.
Yeah, I've got SwiftKey, but like I said, it doesn't work enough for me to bother having it on. What I'm actually using right now, I think it's called Minium.
I saw that. What's the deal?
It's for people with fat fingers like me. So the target areas are bigger, and it does a lot more predictive stuff. So you can kind of fumble along, and it's a little better at picking it. And it like all these predictive keyboards, it allegedly learns from you. And so it's a minimal keyboard in general, and it gives you pretty big touch targets, but you can reduce it so the keyboard is all on one line. So touch targets have like several letters they do. It's kind of like typing on an old BlackBerry again. So and that has worked surprisingly well. So if you want more screen real estate, you can shrink the keyboard down and type that way, and it's worked out pretty well. So it's been fun to play with. I recommend checking it out at least.
Yeah, and then hopefully once the APIs are a little smoother and the integrations are a little better, it'll be even cooler. So yeah, iOS 8, definitely worth checking out, but be warned, you might have problems.
Awesome. Okay, we have one more other thing we were going to do. Are we talking products?
We are talking products. Cool. So a new recurring feature on the show, I think we might have mentioned that we are going to try to do this before, is we want to share cool stuff with you. And you'll be able to go to our website, find the link, and purchase it through Amazon, which gives us a little bit of a slice of that revenue that helps us produce the show. We don't take money to like pick what products we're going to give you. These are things that we actually own or want to own or use that we think you would like. So, Joel, what do you have this week?
I'm talking about the Anker Ultra Slim wireless Bluetooth keyboard for iPhone, iPad, etc. I want to do, as we've talked about before, I think the iPad Air is one of the greatest tech products ever. If it had Touch ID, the fingerprint sensor, it would be the greatest product ever. Having to enter a passcode is kind of annoying. But anyway, I want to make that more and more my primary computing device, especially when I travel. The computer I travel with is a giant MacBook Pro, and I am both too large, and airplane seats and trays are too small for me to actually be able to use that on a plane. So I'd much rather be typing on my iPad. So, and I don't really like typing on the screen. So I've got this separate Bluetooth keyboard that I haven't had time to really try out too much, but the Wirecutter gave it a pretty good shout out. They recommend larger ones, but since this is for travel, I'm going with this small one, but I'm excited. And yeah, so it's the Anker Ultra Slim, and the link will be in the show notes.
Awesome.
What about you?
So I have, I have to find the name of it. So I have a lot of sleep issues in my life in general. Difficulty getting to, difficulty waking up from, etc. So I've sort of been on a thing over the past couple months to try to improve my sleep in general. And recently, as in last week, I bought the Bucky 40 Blinks mask, sleep mask. And it looks completely ridiculous, and it feels a little weird when you first wear it. I mean, it's a sleep mask is basically what it is. But man, I have napped so much this weekend, and I have never been able to nap before because of lighting and distractions and all sorts of stuff. And so I highly recommend it. It's like $10, I think. And it's black, it's one size, and it's awesome. So if you have sleep problems, if you do a lot of travel and you have trouble sleeping on planes and things, this is definitely something that you should check out. So I will put the link to that in the show notes as well.
Awesome.
Cool.
All right. Housekeeping. Find us on Twitter at NerdCast, at Joel Kelly, at Chris Van Patten, Facebook.com/notarealjob. What else do we have?
Send us questions, send us comments, ideas, thoughts, etc. You can get in touch with us at the website, notarealjob.com. And rate us on iTunes. iTunes, just open that up, search for Not a Real Job. I think you can find us on the podcast app as well and rate us from there. And if you need the direct link, it's notarealjob.com/iTunes. That'll redirect you and let you open that. So definitely do that. It means a lot to have your support. And also tell a friend. We've got our episodes up on YouTube now, so you can really easily, like, if there was a segment that you thought was great that you wanted to share, you can jump to that segment very quickly and share that with a friend and get them on the Not a Real Job bandwagon. Our numbers were down a little bit in August, and that's published over at the blog, notarealjob.com/August-2014, I think is the link. And we want to bring those numbers back up in September, October, and through the rest of the year. So share the show with a friend, and hopefully they'll listen and tell their friends as well.
Cool. Sounds good. So yeah, give us a follow-up on the question we answered if you have any other ideas or suggestions, and we will see y'all next week.
Bye, everyone.